Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to May Rose Cafe Live. I am your hostess with the mostest, your baker, your chef, home chef. Let me be clear, so I don't offend real chefs. Your baker, your baker, your maker, your roaster, your fryer, whatever it is we're gonna do. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We're gonna make something tonight that I have loved my entire life. And this recipe is actually, let me turn my music down a little bit. This recipe is actually inspired by one of my grandmothers. Growing up, she could bake, she could fry anything you wanted to eat, and you came to her house, it was always good. And one of my favorite things that she used to make for us was fresh homemade buttermilk biscuits. Oh my God, I'm talking about good. Now, let me tell you something. It took me a couple of years to figure out this recipe because the one thing she didn't teach me was her tricks, and she didn't teach me her recipe. So I had to kind of work with them. I looked some up online. I tried those. I didn't like any of them. They did not give me the result that I wanted. So I had to tamper with it, play with it, and keep mixing it up until I found a recipe that I actually like. So I hope that you'll like this one too. Now, what I've already done in the interest of time is I've already sifted together. I'll just tell you what's in here. I've already sifted 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I'll show you that. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. So all and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So all that's already been whisked together in the bowl. I sifted it, and I sifted it just so you can get the lumps out, so your flour is fine, everything is all smooth, and there's no lumps in anything that you're making. But you do not have to sift it. You actually could just put it in the bowl and whisk those things together to make sure they're combined really well. The last two things we're going to put in our butter, and we're going to put in our buttermilk. Now, this first batch I'm making, and I'm making 3. Y'all know I wasn't going to just make one kind of biscuits tonight, right? Y'all knew I wasn't going to just stick to just buttermilk alone, of course. So tonight, the first one I am going to make is going to be buttermilk. But I'm also going to show you how to do a cinnamon raisin and then a more savory one, which is going to be a cheese and jalapeno biscuit. So you're not going to get just one. I'm going to show you 3. So all I'm doing is I left my butter in the refrigerator because you want it to stay kind of hard. It actually helps when you're trying to mix it in with your flour. And what I'm going to do is add a stick and a half. And it's always good to kind of dice this up in little pieces. It's a little bit easier to work with. One of the things I'll tell you that I found when I was researching the recipes was the butter, or how much butter I should say. Every recipe I found either required like a half a stick or 3/4 of a stick or whatever it was. To me, it just wasn't enough. And when I kept playing with it, and I figured out a stick and a half is actually what works the best. You get a tender, flaky biscuit. They actually taste buttery. They taste amazing. So remember, a stick and a half of butter. And then all I'm doing is just dicing it up. And I'll show you that in a minute because I don't know if you all can see my cutting board or not. And as usual, I got my little junk tray over there to the side to catch all my stuff. Let me scoot over. Maybe. There we go. Hopefully you can see in the camera in front of me. And all I'm doing is just cutting the butter up now and cutting it into little chunks. Makes it a lot easier to blend into your flour and get it all mixed together. Now I got butter all over my cutting board, which was not my actual intention, but oh well. So let's get all of that over in the flour. And this is just what it looks like. It's just a little diced up butter, that's all. Y'all, it's a man that just walked in and he's dancing behind the camera. So if y'all see me start laughing, that's why I'm laughing. Now, since you walked in, will you please turn that fan over there because I'm about to burn it. It's hot in here. And I got the oven on, so yeah, it's a little toasty. Okay. Oh, he said to tell the folks who the man was. It's my husband, y'all. Hey, Ed. Hey, Cassandra Perez. Eva. Glad y'all tuned. Ooh, that feels so much better. So I'm starting to sweat. Now, normally I do this with my hand, but then I found this, again, y'all know I love my little kitchen tools and gadgets and stuff. Found this. This is a miracle worker because rather than, I'm going to get my hands a little bit messy, but rather than putting your hands in it and starting to squeeze your butter that way, and it helps your butter, keeps your butter from getting too warm, and it keeps it from forming the right balls that you need to form, use one of these. And I think this thing is called a pastry cutter, dough cut. We're going to call it, that's what we're going to call it. Well, that's what it is or not. But all we're doing is just now cutting the butter into the flour. Whew. I'm so glad he walked in and turned the fan on. I forgot to turn it on before I got started, and it got hot in here real quick under all these 50 million lights I got on. So that is good. He came in when he did. So I don't know if y'all can see that. All I'm doing is just cutting this in. Now what you're going to be looking for is to get the butter mixed in well enough till you get like kind of little pea-sized balls. And it might not be a ball, so don't look for balls, but look for it to get a little bit finer than that. You want it to be a little bit finer than that. And all it is, it'll just look like little balls of butter and flour, because that's all it is. Okay. I'm trying to go fast because we're gonna get 3 of these done. I got to get with it tonight. So get that all blended together. And then we're gonna add in our buttermilk in just a second. Now on the buttermilk biscuits, of course, they wouldn't be called buttermilk biscuits if you didn't put buttermilk in them. But when we get to the cinnamon ones, I'm gonna show you, it's gonna be a little bit different. I'm still gonna add buttermilk to them, but I'll tell you something else that you can do and you'll still get that same flavor. Honestly, I like the tartness, so I use buttermilk in all of them, not just 1 or 2. But you can switch it up and use regular milk if you wanted to. And if you didn't want buttermilk biscuits, you could just make biscuits. I mean, you don't have to put the buttermilk in if you don't like it. Okay. Ooh, y'all, this is a workout. But it's a fun workout. And the good thing is you get to eat at the end of it. All right. So we've gotten it all kind of blended together. And we got that texture we're looking for. Let me get all my stuff out of my little starter thingy. One of these days, I'm going to learn the name of stuff because y'all know I call it whatever it is I'm using it for. So it's the cutter thingy today. It could be the masher thingy tomorrow or the straining thingy, just whatever pops in my mind. That's what it's going to be for that day. So here's what you get when you get the flour and the butter mixed in. You see those little, I don't know if you can see that really good, but you see those little balls? And that's just your little balls of butter and flour. So now you just make a little well in the middle. And we're going to add our buttermilk. So we're using 3/4 cup of buttermilk. Sometimes, depending on, I don't know, I've never had to use more than that. And I've tested it with a couple of different amounts. And 3/4 seems to work just right. Now here's where it starts getting messy, but it also starts to get a little bit fun. Pour that buttermilk in. And now all you're going to do is this what I used to love to see my grandma do. Is take her hand and work the flour, the buttermilk into the flour. And all you're doing is just going to keep turning your bowl, mixing it in. It's going to get real good and messy, which is actually the fun part, y'all. You know, keep working it in. Because what you're doing now is just forming your ball of dough. I was supposed to put my gloves on so I could move through this a little faster, but oh well. I forgot to put them on. So I'm going to mash that together. And let me go ahead and use both hands. Because what you want to do is form a nice ball of dough. Oh, God. This is actually more relaxing than what it looks, y'all. Something about a hard day and then coming home and playing in dough. It's relaxing. So get that mixed together. And form your ball. Now, you don't want to act right now and give me a ball. Hold on. That butter is still nice and cold, which is great. Now we're getting the ball. There we go. And we're going to keep working that till we get us a nice little ball of dough. Get back in the bowl. Somebody trying to escape. All right, let's get all this off my fingers. Now this is the part I hate because then you got to try to get every piece of dough off your fingers, which is why I said I was going to put the gloves on, make this a little bit easier. But oh well. Whew. All right, let's see. All right, I think I got enough of it. Now, got a ball of dough. Try to get all it as much as I can off my fingers so we can have biscuits instead of fingers. Okay, got that all together. I'm gonna move this bowl just a second. Now, I'm gonna attempt to put some flour on my counter without getting dough everywhere, which I don't think is gonna work. So hold on, I'm gonna wash my hands because that's awfully sticky. And then if I pick up anything now, I'm gonna have dough everywhere, and that means I gotta clean up more stuff after. So hold on just a second, y'all. Let me rinse my hands off. So anyway, when I was little and I used to be in the kitchen with my grandma cooking, I will tell you my grandmother was unable to read and write. But the one thing she could do is measure and cook. Now I know you wondered how can somebody that can't read and write measure and cook? Believe it or not, her measurements were accurate. I tested it one day. I noticed that when she measured her flour, she measured it, of course, by scoops. She'd scoop it out with her hand. So I think I know I was in elementary school when this happened. And I wanted to see exactly how much flour it was. She did 2 scoops. I had her to pour it in a measuring cup. Guess what? That was 2 cups. She poured salt in her hand, and she poured about the size of a quarter. Guess what? That was a teaspoon. It was right at a teaspoon. She did her baking soda the same way. She did tablespoons, poured in a tablespoon, measured out. So even though she could not read and write, my grandmother could measure and she could cook. And believe it or not, with her letting me be in the kitchen with her, it helped me learn how to measure and cook. So I appreciate her greatly for that. Because that was not only was it good times just to spend in the kitchen with her, but I learned a lot from watching her. And one big thing I learned from her is she loved to cook, and she loved to cook for her family. And I think that's where my love of cooking came from. Between my mom and daddy, my grandparents, and being in the kitchen cooking with all of them, I think that's what got me to where I like to cook. So all I'm doing is just patting it out and I'm just putting it in a circle. And y'all know I love my handy dandy pans. So just gonna spray that with a little bit of cooking spray. Normally I do it with butter, but in the interest of time tonight, it's a little faster for me to do the cooking spray. Now, I have 2 different sides of biscuit cutters, or you can use the fancy side. These, when you want to make something for breakfast and you want just little snack size, or you want something that you can really make really cute little puff pastry, little puff biscuits or whatever, I use the small one. Tonight, we're using grandma. Now, here's the trick. A lot of people make biscuits and they come out and they're probably about that thick. Part of that is because when we cut them, you push down and you twist. Don't do that. When you push down, push straight down and raise it straight back up. What it does is it keeps you from sealing off the sides of your biscuits. So when you put them in the oven and it's time for them to rise, they can actually rise. So we're just going to go straight down and back up. And look at that. It comes out in the cutter. And we're just going to place those in the pan. This should make about 8 of this size biscuits. If I use that smaller one, I think it makes about, well, you can actually get about 12 out of it, if I'm not mistaken. Just you push down, don't twist your cutter. Push down, bring it straight back up, put your biscuits in the pan. Let's see how many can get out of this before I have to roll again. You're going to have a little bit of excess flour on the bottom. That's fine. Just shake off some of the extra. Put them in the pan. I have some butter melting in a skillet on the stove. So when we get these all in the pan, we're just going to brush the top on with the butter. Now, I saw a lot of recipes that said to brush them with buttermilk. Tried that, did not like it. So I'm an old-fashioned, just put some butter on it and keep it moving kind of person. And guess what? We're going to get exactly 8 without having to re-roll the dough. Well, a little bit. I cheated, y'all. Okay, hold on. We put it back together so I can get this last one out of there. It might not look as pretty as the other. Oh, I twisted it. Let me do it over. I caught myself that time when I did it. Let me do it over. Can't tell y'all not to do something I just did. So let me fix my mistake, y'all. Let me make this back into a ball and I can roll that out a little bit. Oh, come on, biscuit. There we go. Now, let me go back into that one. There we go. Now, I think it's going to be a little bigger than the other one, so I'm going to sneak and put it in the middle. Put that other small one on the outside. Put that in the middle. And there we go. So now you got, that's the first pan. These are the buttermilk. We're just going to set them to the side and I'll brush all of them before we set them in the oven. Okay. I'm just going to move this extra dough out of the way. And then we're going to move into, put that net bowl over there. And we're going to move straight into, let's see, we'll do, you know what? We'll do let's do the raisin ones next. Because even if I don't get to the last one, I can show you how to do it without going through the whole thing. Did the same thing in this bowl. 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon and plus 1 teaspoon baking soda, a little bit of salt. And this one I reduced the salt to about 1/4 teaspoon. You want these biscuits to be a little bit sweeter since this is the cinnamon raisin. A teaspoon of baking soda. And then to this one, we're also going to add, and I could have swore I poured some cinnamon someplace, y'all. Hold on. I lost my cinnamon. I could have, what did I do? Well, either one. I know where it is. Let me tell y'all something I did one morning. In the mornings, I normally drink hot tea or coffee, and I add cinnamon, turmeric, and what's my other one? Cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger to it. And some mornings I add cayenne pepper. I know that sounds weird, but I have a reason for it. Trust me. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon in this mixture. Because remember, these are cinnamon raisins, and we want to get that taste in there. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm also going to add, instead of 2 tablespoons of sugar like we did the last one, to make these a little bit sweeter, we're going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. So anyway, got up one morning in a hurry, and I keep all of this in the same place. So remember, it's turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon. And just so happened, the cayenne pepper and the cinnamon are in similar looking bottles. So I made my cup of tea that morning, and man, I loaded it up thinking I was putting cinnamon in it. I get halfway through drinking it, and my tongue and my throat is on fire. And I cannot figure out why in the world all of a sudden is this cinnamon burning my mouth like this. And I realized that I didn't put cinnamon in the tea. I put a whole bunch of cayenne pepper. Well, it was a little too late for me to go back on not finishing it at that time, so I had to go ahead and drink it. But let's just say I keep them in separate places now, so I don't make that mistake again. We're still going to use the same amount of buttermilk, 3/4 cup. But to this, I'm going to also add about 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor. So we can catch, here's my spoon. We can mix that together a little bit. Now, let's go ahead and get the butter ready for this one. Oh, that's right. Oh, the butter is getting a little bit softer as we go along, so that's kind of a good thing. I can still work with it. If you're doing this and you feel like your butter is getting too soft, just pop it back in the freezer for a couple of minutes and let it get back a little bit hard, and it'll be easier. It'll be just as good to work with. So we're just going to dice this up again. And remember, we're still doing a 1.5 sticks. Oh my God, y'all, the fan is on and I'm still hot. We're just going to go ahead and add that in. Ooh, that one is a lot softer. Okay. Well, that just means we got to work just a little faster. It'll still do the same thing, and the biscuits will still taste just as good. Trust me when I say that. Now, this is not going to be a really, 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 really sweet biscuit, but you're going to still like it. All right. Got all our butter added in. All right. And now I can't find my trusty blender thing. Oh, there it is. And we're going to just do the same thing again. And you're looking for that same texture. Get your little balls going, get your butter all mixed in. Now, if anybody ever watched Martin, and you knew that Martin will fight anybody over his mama's biscuits, I think these are what she was making. So if you want some of Martin Mama biscuits, here's your chance to make you some cinnamon raisin biscuits. Well, see, the butter is a little bit softer, so this one is a little bit easier to work with. What are we doing on time? Oh yeah, we just halfway through. So we got time for them to bake, and I can eat a few, and we can chit chat and talk. And hey, if y'all have questions, you want to post, make comments or ask questions, I might not be able to answer them while I'm doing this, but I'll be sure to go back in later on and make sure I answer any of your questions. And this will post to my Facebook page, The Lady Sounds with Wonderlo, and it'll also post to my YouTube page of the same name. So like and subscribe and follow and share and all that stuff. And right now, if you know somebody that likes to cook or not, but they like food, then tag them so they can just join in and watch. Okay, all right. That one went a lot faster because that butter was a lot softer. So that one was a little bit easier than the first one. That butter was still good and cold and good and hard. So, okay. Put our little masher thingy over there again. Now to this one, remember, we're going to add our raisins. So I'm doing a couple raisins. Come on out of that cup. Come on out of there. Come on, come on, come on, come out, come out. All right, so let's just mix them up real quick. Because you want raisins in every bite. Nothing, can't have a raisin biscuit without a raisin in it. That wouldn't make much sense now, would it? All right, now, same thing. Add our buttermilk, and I keep moving out the camera. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me go back over here. Now, no way everybody can see me. Gonna do the same thing. Add your buttermilk in your vanilla flavoring in. This time, just to keep my hands a little bit clean, I'm gonna mix this one with a spoon. That way I can kind of go a tiny bit faster, not much, but a little bit. So we're gonna mix all that in. And all we're doing again is just getting it to where we can form us a nice. Now, this dough may be a little stickier than the last dough. And that'll be okay because once we turn it out on the counter, we can add a little bit more flour in it when we're rolling it out. And that'll kind of, not necessarily dry it out, but that'll soak up. Because I think, y'all, instead of 3/4 cup, I might put just a little tad more buttermilk in there because this is a little bit wetter. So we can always fix that. And oh God, y'all, these already smell good. You can smell that cinnamon. I can smell the raisins. Actually, it looks, if you look at it, it looks almost like chocolate chip cookie dough. See that? Looks almost like chocolate chip cookie. Hey, cousin Ann. Hey, Blenda. How y'all? No, I'm country. I said, hi, y'all. Glad y'all tuned in this evening. And you remember Grandma's biscuits? I remember we all ate those biscuits, so I know you remember Grandma's biscuits and how good they used to be. Now, I do not profess to say mine are exactly the same, but I got as close as I could get. Okay, yeah. Oh, y'all, I'm telling you, it's hot in here. Now, these, if you want to make little cute little bite size, then you could do this one, this size cutter with them. But again, in the interest of time tonight, we're going to still keep the big one. Let me add some more. Well, I might not need to add a little bit more flour. And let's use the spoon to turn this out on the counter. It might be easier. Here we go. Yeah, that worked out fine. I'm going to get my extra biscuit dough out of there. Okay. Now remember I said a little bit about it being a little maybe too moist. I can take a little flour, extra flour on my hands and just kind of work that in a little bit so they're not as wet as they were. And if I need a little bit more flour, I can add it. Oh, that's going to be a nice tender one. Yeah, that's going to be nice and tender. You add a little bit more flour. They're going to stick to my counter, and I don't want that to happen. Yeah, there we go. And all we're going to do again is I'm patting this out, and I'm bad at measurements, y'all. So I'm going to say about this much thickness of my hand, your bottom two fingers, I'm patting out till it's about this thick, these two fingers together. And I'm just making a circle. And again, I'm going to use that same size cutter so we can get at least 8 biscuits out of this one too. And if you pat this out just right in the size the first time, you'll get exactly that. So let's move this ball out of the way. Y'all, I'm hot. And where to do my pan? I'm going to spray our pan again. All right. And here we go. Remember, no twisting. Straight down, straight up. There you go. Straight down, straight up. I think these are going to be a little bit more moist than the other one. Again, because the butter had gotten a little bit soft in this last one. For sure they'll be, because that butter is softer. And then straight down and straight up on that one. In the pan it goes. Uh-oh. The dough is kind of sticking to my cutter a little bit, so I'm going to stop and kind of get some of the extra off so we can keep a nice clean cut. I'm going to tell you now, it ain't going to make a difference. The biscuit still going to taste good. Now, let's take that extra off of there. Helps it cut a little cleaner. Uh-oh. Picked up a hump that time. Let me tell y'all now, this is a messy thing, but the end result is so good. You don't mind the mess. You don't mind the mess at all. Only other thing I can think of, that's almost as messy as when me and the grandkids make tea cakes. And that's more or less because we have flour wars and some of everything else going on. So we have flour flying and we flying. So it gets a little bit messy. All right, I'm going to have to wash my hands after this one because I got stuff everywhere. All right, and we got the last one in the pan. So there we go. Got a pan of raisin biscuits this time, cinnamon raisin. And again, we'll set them back here until it's time to put the butter on. And let me wash my hands off again. What are some of the things that you all made with your grandparents or cook with your parents or cook with your favorite person? Or, what are some of your things that you love to make that remind you of your family members? And let's see, I'm going to put my extra dough, because I have some extra left over here. I might want to decide to make some more later on. So I'm going to put my extra dough. Now, this is a scraper. Y'all know I told you I don't call stuff by the right name. This is a scraper. That's all it does. It can cut and it can scrape. So that's what we're doing. All I'm doing is just taking off this extra dough and a little bit of that flour because it's got a little raisin flavor to it now. So I don't want that to mix into the next one because the next biscuit is going to be a savory one and I want it to stay savory. I'm also going to rinse off my cutter so we can get the next one done. So we got buttermilk, we got cinnamon raisin, get some hot water. Got buttermilk, we got cinnamon raisin, and then we're getting ready to make a jalapeno cheese one. I love a savory biscuit, and depending on what you're eating, this will go great with it. You can add garlic powder to it. You can do a lot of other stuff to it. Tonight, I'm just going to make just a straight jalapeno and cheese. And like I said, if you want to get fancy with it, you can add in some other stuff and make it whatever you want. And my kitchen, my bowls, and I'm gonna reuse this one. Same though. Try not to wash a lot of dishes, y'all. So now, dang it, I use that cup. So we're gonna just do it this way. I'm gonna take, let me get me another spoon. I need something dry. All right, here we go. So we know we need 2 cups of flour. I went on a baking binge. It's probably been a couple of months ago now. And I started counting up how much flour and sugar was in my house. Y'all, I had 20 pounds of sugar and probably about 20 pounds of flour. Don't ask me what all. When y'all saw me baking and I was posting tea cakes and all that stuff, that's where all my flour and sugar was going. I had gotten to this tea cake thing and to this little baking thing, and I was hooked. So remember, 2 cups of flour. We're gonna do a tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of baking powder. You're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking powder, baking soda, that's right. All right, then we put the salt, we did all of that. Now, let's whisk that together. Use the other whisk, so we got to use a new whisk to make sure everything stays dry. We'll whisk that together. And here we go again with our butter. Remember, 1.5 sticks of butter. This one is the exact same as the buttermilk biscuit one in the beginning. Only thing we're going to do is add the cheese and peppers to it, so it'll be a savory one. As a matter of fact, I think I will go ahead and do it and dust them with a little bit of garlic powder uh-oh, that's too much butter. I'm trying to use a whole 2 sticks. Yeah, that butter's still kind of firm. All right, let's put that over there. Let's cut this butter up. Can y'all see me? I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. Now, see, if I were acting and kept getting off my mark, I would be in trouble with the studio and the producer. So I guess after this, I'm going to chastise me for not staying on my mark and staying in my place in front of the camera. So y'all forgive me if I keep moving. For some reason, I tend to drift to the right. So let me make sure I stay to the left so you all can see me. And all I'm doing is just cutting the butter up. I think y'all might be able to see that. Again, little dicing up the butter. We're just gonna add that in. Woo. Y'all, it's hot in here. Let's put this one up. I normally have my music on or I'm watching some kind of movie while I'm cooking. Tonight I got Pandora playing in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear my music. And I have I guess some people would say odd taste in music. Technically, I don't listen to female singers. Don't know why, just don't. Prefer to listen to a male voice. So what you hear is a whole lot of Josie or Prince, and everybody else, you'll hear very few those in my playlist. Just, I don't know. Over time, it's just how I've learned to listen to. So we're just doing the same thing again, cutting the butter in. Oh, yeah, this is a little bit, that butter was still, it must have been still on the bottom. It's still kind of hard. That wasn't so hard. But either way, not cutter inner thingy. That's the official name. And we're just cutting in the butter again. Still looking for those nice little crumbles when we get finished. That's going